am Dr. Dhruvi Sinha. I am an assistant professor of English at the School of Liberal Arts, Bennett University, and I welcome you to our very first session on communication skills. Let me start with a small question. Have you ever felt misunderstood? Maybe you wrote a WhatsApp message and the other person took it the wrong way. Maybe you gave an answer in class, but your teacher didn't quite get your point. Or maybe you had something important to say to a friend, but when the moment came, the words just didn't come out. This happens to all of us. That gap between what's in our head and what actually comes out, that's where communication skills make the difference. And the good news is, communication is not magic. It's not something only a few lucky people are born with. It's a skill, like driving or playing cricket or cooking. The more you practice, the better you get. And why does this matter so much? Because communication shapes everything in our lives. It decides how confident we sound in an interview, how clearly we explain ideas in a group discussion, and how well we maintain relationships with friends, teachers, colleagues, and even family. So, if you think communication is just about speaking good English, think again. It is about connection, it's about clarity, and it is about confidence. And in this course, we will build it step by step. And in today's lecture, we are going to lay the foundation for this entire course. We'll begin by looking at the 5 essential skills that every good communicator must develop. And then I'll share some practical, easy to apply techniques that you can start practicing right away. We'll also talk about the common barriers that often get in the way, and I'll show you simple strategies to overcome them. And finally, I'll give you a short activity or a takeaway that you can try on your own after the session. And by the end of this lecture, you'll leave not just with knowledge, but with tools you can immediately apply. I like to call communication skills muscles, because just like the muscles in the gym, the more you exercise them, the stronger they get. And if you don't use them, they stay weak. But the good news is, anyone can build them. There are 5 key muscles we'll train in this course, and they would be listening, clarity, empathy, non-verbal communication, and confidence. So if we go through them one by one, the first muscle is listening. Most people think communication starts with speaking, but actually it begins with listening. Listening is more than just keeping your mouth shut. It means giving your full attention, eye contact, nodding, showing interest, and not letting your mind wander. Think about this. A friend of yours comes to you and says, "I'm really stressed about tomorrow's exam." If you're scrolling on your phone and just reply, "Yeah, same," that's not really listening. But if you look at them, nod and say, "So you're nervous about how it's going to go?" That feels very different, doesn't it? The difference is not in the words, but in the attention. One way to practice listening is by using the repeat back method. Simply restate what the other person has said in your own words. It shows you listened and also helps confirm you understood correctly. Another way is to follow the 70-30 rule. Try to listen 70% of the time and speak only 30% of the time. Most of us do the opposite. We talk more than we listen. But true communication begins with listening. If you master this muscle, every other skill becomes easier. The second muscle that I would like to talk about is clarity. Clarity means expressing your ideas in a way that people can understand immediately. Many people lose their audience because they use very long, confusing sentences, or they beat around the bush too much. For example, saying, "I was kind of thinking maybe if we could possibly try this idea," is hard to follow, right? But compare that with, "I have 3 suggestions. First, second, third." Which one do you think is easier to listen to? To build clarity, keep your points simple and structured. Organize your ideas in 3s, because people remember things better in 3s. Use short sentences instead of long, complicated ones, and pause to check if your listener is following. Just ask, "Am I clear so far?" Remember, if the listener doesn't understand, then communication hasn't really happened, no matter how clever your words are. And third muscle is empathy. Empathy is the ability to step into the other person's shoes and understand their feelings. And here's the difference. Sympathy is when you say, "Don't worry, it's fine." And empathy is when you say, "I can see this is really bothering you. Do you want to talk about it?" Empathy creates trust. It makes people feel valued and respected. Without it, even perfect grammar or polished speech won't make you a good communicator. You can practice empathy by using small empathy phrases such as, "That must have been difficult," or "I can understand why you feel that way," or "It sounds like you worked really hard on this." And also by asking open-ended questions, like instead of "Did you like it?" ask "What did you like about it?" or "How did you make that feel?" Open questions invite longer answers and show genuine interest. Empathy is what turns ordinary conversations into meaningful ones. The fourth muscle that I would like to talk about is nonverbal communication. This is your body language, your tone, your facial expressions. Research shows that more than half of communication is nonverbal. I'll give you an example. Take the sentence, "I'm fine." If you say it with a smile, relaxed posture, people believe you're fine, right? But if you say it with crossed arms and a sharp tone, it means the opposite. Nonverbal signs can strengthen your message, or they can completely contradict it. To improve this skill, think about the 3 V's: verbal, vocal, visual. Verbal is the actual words you say, vocal is how you say them, your tone, pace, and pauses, and visual is your body language, your posture, gestures, and eye contact. These 3 should match. If your words say one thing but your tone says another, people will always believe your tone. Also learn to use pauses. Instead of filling every silence with or pause. A short pause after an important point gives it weight and makes you sound confident. And finally, practice eye contact. Don't stare, but don't avoid either. A natural balance shows confidence and respect. If you want to experiment, record yourself saying the same line happily, angrily, or sadly. You'll notice how tone and body language completely change the meaning even though the words are the same. The fifth and final muscle is confidence. Confidence is not about shouting, showing off, or using big words. It's about believing that your ideas are worth sharing. And everyone feels nervous when speaking in front of a group. That's normal. But confidence is built by practice. And a few ways that you can practice it would be, I would suggest a 4-second rule. Before speaking, pause for 4 seconds. Breathe in, stand tall, look at your audience, then begin. That small pause makes you look composed and calms your nerves. Try mirror practice. Spend just 2 minutes a day speaking in front of a mirror. Introduce yourself, explain a topic, or tell a story. And notice your expressions and gestures. Record yourself answering a question like, "Tell me about yourself." Play it back and notice your tone, speed, and clarity. Do it again until you sound more confident. And finally, shift your focus. Instead of thinking, "What if I make a mistake?" think, "How can I help my audience understand?" That simple shift reduces anxiety. And confidence is not built in a single day. It grows every time you speak up. Every time you practice, you're strengthening this muscle. So these are the 5 muscles that would help you with communication: listening, clarity, empathy, nonverbal communication, and confidence. Each one of these muscles are trainable. Each one makes you stronger, and together they form the foundation of great communication. But even with strong muscle, communication sometimes fails, right? Why does that happen? Because of barriers. A barrier is anything that blocks or distorts the message between the sender and the receiver. One common barrier is, of course, noise and distractions. This can be physical noise like traffic outside, someone's phone ringing, or mental noise as well, like daydreaming during a class. Imagine explaining something important while the other person is scrolling through Instagram. The message is lost, right? The best solution is to reduce distractions. Put your phone away when someone is speaking, and if the environment is noisy, move somewhere quieter. Another barrier is language. Sometimes the problem is vocabulary. Using jargon, slang, or complicated English makes it hard for others to follow. A doctor might say hypertension while the patient only understands high blood pressure. The solution is simple. Use clear, familiar words and adjust your language to your audience. Third barrier would be emotions. Strong emotions like anger, nervousness, fear can really block communication. So when you're upset, you might stop listening. When you are nervous, you might mumble or rush your words. If emotions are high, pause, breathe, and if needed, postpone the conversation until later. And finally, assumptions. can block communication. We often think we already know what the other person means, so we stop listening carefully. This leads to mistakes. The solution is to ask clarifying questions. Do you mean this? Or, so what you're saying is, barriers are normal, but with awareness and practice, we can overcome them. And once we do that, our communication becomes smoother, clearer, and far more powerful. Now let's see how these 5 muscles and these techniques work in the real world. Think about job interviews. In an interview, the way you communicate often matters as much as your knowledge. Employers want people who can listen carefully, answer clearly, and show confidence. So in an interview, pay close attention to the exact question. Don't rush to answer before you fully understand it. Use the 3-point formula for your responses. There are 3 reasons I'd be a good fit: first, second, third. And remember, non-verbal cues. Sit straight, smile, and maintain calm eye contact. Even if your English is not perfect, clear ideas and confident delivery leave a lasting impression. In a group discussion or teamwork, the loudest voice is not always the smartest. What matters is balance. Use the 70-30 rule that we talked about. Listen more than you speak. Build on others' points instead of ignoring them. For example, say, I agree with what she said, but I'd like to add. And show engagement through body language. Nod, lean forward, look at the person speaking. That shows respect and make others more willing to listen to you. In digital communication, things are different. Today, so much of our interaction happens on emails, WhatsApp, or even social media. So we need to keep the writing clear. So what do? We avoid long paragraphs. We break the message into short, easy to read points. And we don't use all capital letters. It looks like shouting. Emojis are fine, but use them carefully. They can add warmth, but they can't replace words. And always reread before you hit send. Ask yourself, is this clear? Could this be misunderstood? And of course, in personal relationships as well, communication skills are just as important. With family and friends, empathy phrases like, that must have been tough, make people feel heard. Non-verbal cues like a gentle tone or a smile can calm tense situations. And simply listening fully without interrupting often solves more problems than giving advice. So whether it's a job interview, a group discussion, a WhatsApp chat, or a conversation with your parents, the 5 muscles apply everywhere. Now, before we wrap up, let me leave you with a short challenge. In the next 24 hours, try the 2-minute listening challenge. It's simple. For 2 minutes, just listen to someone without interrupting, without giving advice, without looking at your phone. At the end, repeat back what you understood in your own words. Notice how different it feels to truly listen or to be truly heard. And for the rest of this week, pay attention to your conversations. Don't just wait for your turn to speak, listen fully. Use empathy phrases. Keep your sentences short and clear. This is the real beginning of this journey. Remember, communication is not about perfection. It's about progress. One conversation at a time, and you'll improve. Thank you for joining me in this first module. I can't wait to continue in the next session.